Hi,
but
before
Kathryn
we
here
move
with
on,
Handmade by
please
Circle Art Designs.
like and leave
Today
a comment
on my work table
for
I will
this
be working on
video
a bead weaving
and
project.
if you haven't subscribed
This will
already,
be a
would you
blue
consider
and
subscribing to this green
channel?
Bicone
And
bracelet.
please share.
And I have
It
to
will
tell
help
you,
us
the
so
colors
much.
in this,
Thank you.
I think, are amazing.
Kathryn.
I tried to match the colors of the picture with the colors I was seeing in the bracelet, but it does not do it justice. So let's turn our eyes to the mat and let's get started. So as we turn our eyes to our table, I see the lovely mat that says Simply Grateful. And I want you to know that I am simply grateful for all the blessings that the Lord has given me, especially in this last week. I helped at a food distribution earlier in this week, and one of the things that we do is we make prayer available if people want it. They don't have to, but if they want to stop by and be prayed for, we are there. And I got to be one of the prayer team leaders this week. And this woman stopped by and I asked her what she would like me to pray for her and pray with her about. And she said, I want to thank God for this food. I am so grateful that we have it so that we would have something to eat this week. And that really touched my heart. First of all, that what we were doing was something that she needed so badly. But second of all, that in that moment, instead of thinking about what she didn't have, she wanted to thank God for what He had provided. And I thought, how often do I forget to do that in my own life? So that is what I am simply grateful for this week. How about you? What are you simply grateful for this week? All right, let's look at what we're going to be using today. So I'm finding the center of the mat. I hope this helps. It's been helping, but you know, I get so excited and sometimes I forget, oh wait, my pen for the center of the mat. Oh, I need to move the camera over a little bit. My pin for the center of the mat is not in the center of the mat, but this is as close as I can get. And so now, I'm sorry, it's off. I think I'm in the camera thing, but I guess not. This is an illusion cord. I got it off of Amazon. We're going to be using this today. It's a 0.3 millimeter. We're also going to be using the size 1 bead along crimps, and we will be using, oh come on Kathryn, a lobster claw and there we go, a lobster claw and some jump rings. All of these are from my own stash. Now you don't have to use an illusion cord. You can also use a beading thread. It will just have a different consistency in the way that it moves. These are 4 millimeter Bicones. These are from my own stash. They are in green with an AB flash finish. And then I'm also going to use this beautiful deep blue Bicones in those 4 millimeters with an AB finish on them. Isn't that pretty the way they shine? I just love them. Now, as I said, this is in the On My Work Table series, and all of this will come from my own stash. These are silver lined crystal size 11 seed beads, and I will also be using those. And I'm going to start out by taking a nice generous piece of my illusion cord. This is a filament, and I know that some people use their fishing line for this as well, but like I said, I got this at a really good price off of Amazon. Now I want to make a 7.5 inch bracelet. So I'm going to times that by 3 because this is bead weaving. It's not simply putting the beads on the cord. So you're going to need more. And this is also going to be, you're going to need the same amount of thread on both sides. So after I've cut it, and 3.5, 4 will be plenty. It really depends on the size of bead you are using. Once I've found the center, I'm going to put the threads through the little circle on my lobster claw clasp. Then I'm going to take one of the number 1 crimps. I'm going to put both of the illusion cording through that crimp, and I'm going to bring it all the way down to the center of the bracelet. Now you could just tie this, but I like to use crimps because, you know, sometimes my tying is wonderful and sometimes I have to admit my tying is not. Depends on how fast I'm going on this. Now when I use my crimper, I put it in the back larger half circle. I mash it and it forms a little M. Then I do a half turn on it, and that's what I'm trying to get here because it doesn't want to do a half turn. Then I put it in a smaller half circle in the front and I mash it down. And once I do that, it will bring the little indent in the center from the first one together, and it will make you a nice little crimp ball. And that is ready. Now then, the thing I'm going to do is I am going to use, I played with this before I showed you. I just do not have a good setup to use my bead board. So I'm going to go ahead and use a long, straight needle like our pin that I would use for sewing. I put it on my mat and hold that piece down. Now to begin this, we're going to separate these, and I did not tell you the last time I did bead weaving until towards the end, but this is very important that you make sure you see where your cord is coming out on what side, and you keep that cord straight because you don't want it twisting in your beads. So I'm putting on the first row only on each side 4 of the size 11 crystal silver lined seed beads, and my finger is just slightly out and you cannot see me grabbing these, and you know I think I'm right over that safety pin that pin, but I'm putting 4 on just like that. I'm putting them on both sides just like that. Now then, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate my strings, and because I'm not using my board, I'm just taking something a little heavy to keep those in line, and I'm going to pull out my 4mm Bicones. I'm starting out with the blue. The first one, we're going to put one side of the beading cord through, and then we're going to take the other side from the end that the other cord has come out and put it through so that you have cords coming out both sides of that bead. Then you're going to put another of your bicones on each side of your cord, and then you're going to pull it down to meet your 11-0 seed beads, and it should look just like that. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your cord again, and on the right side you're going to put it through, or the left side you're going to put it through, oop, it jumped, through the bicone, and then on the right side again, so that you have a beading cord coming through both sides of your bead. That will join these together. Then you're going to pull it down, and it should make this beautiful little flower. Isn't that pretty? I just love this. I guess you could call it a diamond, or maybe a square on its side, but it is 4 bicones for each one of these. The top one you join with both sides of the cording, then 2 on one on either cord, and then you join the fourth one the same way. Now for all of the rest of these spacers with your 11 O's, you're going to put on 3, 4 for the beginning, and there'll be 4 for the end, but for the space in between, you only need 3 of the crystal silver lined seed beads on each side. So now I have put those on just like that, and it should look just like that. Isn't that pretty? I really like that. I love bead weaving. I'm putting my weights on so that this cord doesn't get away from me. Then I'm going to put, again, one end through the left side of the bead coming out the right, if I can find a little hole. Now this is something when you're checking your bicones. Some of my bicones, the holes were drilled in very peculiar places, and I didn't notice it whenever I was pulling it off the strand. But anyway, so I'm putting a cord through one end of the bicone, then I'm putting the cord through the other end of the bicone, and this will join your cording or weave your cording together. Bead weaving. Isn't that fun? I love that. Okay, so I've got this and I'm beginning to pull it down, then keeping them on the correct side, because now they've flipped sides because the opposite are coming through. Then you're going to go ahead and put a green bicone on each end. Pull it down to make sure that it fits, and it does. Isn't that pretty? I just love the space with these crystal silver lined 11 O's. I think that's gorgeous. And then go ahead and put through one end, then turn to the other side, and through the same bicone, put it through the other end so that you have both of them coming out. And there you have it, just like that. Now, isn't that lovely? I think it is beautiful. There we go. I'm trying to get a close-up of this. I hope I remember to go down. So this is exactly, oh, look at that. I hit it. So again, for the next step, you're going to put on 11 O seed beads. But now that I've shown you, you can use it without needles. You can just put them through. I really enjoy using these big eye or split needles. They are available on Amazon. I have bought them before at Hobby Lobby, but I usually get them in a larger pack on Amazon. I've done several different brands, and it doesn't seem to me that there's much difference in them. And so whatever is on sale, whenever I have to buy new needles, that's what I use. All right, so using the needle, and I don't put a lot of cord on the bottom, but I do put a little bit, like you were threading a needle with thread. And so I put on 3 of those seed beads, and then I'm going to put 3 more just like this. And pull them down, and this 3 millimeter, this little 0.3 millimeter, it will go through the 11 O seed beads just fine, even with a needle and with a piece of thread coming out the side to hold it onto the needle. Now then, for this next step, I put 1 through on both sides and just pull it down. And there's my first one, but you know what I did? And you know what? I did not catch this to the very end. But I am putting on green again. I forgot to move my little dish, and I'll have to pull this part out because what color should it be? It should be blue. But because you make these flowers all the same, I'm showing it to you because you're going to put, using your needle, you're going to put it through your bicone. And now I've pulled it out because I went, what am I doing? And so now we're going to do it with the blue bicone. Now, something else you want to be aware of when you're using bicones Bicones have a short end and a long end. When you first look at them, you don't believe that. But if once you've used them for quite a while, you will notice that one end is ever so slightly longer than the other end. So now I have put on a blue bicone after I've done the first one, which weaves the cording together. I've put one bicone on each of the needles, and I'm going to try to get, classy here. And I'm going to try to do it all in one. So I put my needles, one going through one end and one going through the other. I go ahead and pull off my single bicones. Then I'm going to put the through, and you know what? I dropped my thread. And so now I'm going to have to put the needle back on, and I'm going to have to pull that thread up and go ahead, because I just tried to get too fancy. I know I can't do that. Oh, that's so funny. So now I'm going, okay, now which one is which? Where am I going? So what I'm doing is I pulled it back down, and I put one needle through one end, and then I put the needle through the other end. Again, we're going to do 3 of the 11 O's just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and put on another 3 11 O's. We're going to put on one of the green bicones, going through each side of the bicone and weaving our cords together. Then I am putting on a bicone on each of the needles and pulling it down. And it should look just like that. And once we do that, I'm going again to put on a bicone. And just as we've done before, because my hands are not in place, I'm putting the needle through each end of the bicone and weaving it together. And I will continue like this until I get 7 inches of this bracelet. I'll meet you in just a moment. But before we move on, would you take a moment and like this video and leave a comment? And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, would you please consider subscribing? And when you do, would you click on the bell that will notify you when we put up new content? And if you've been subscribed for a long time, would you please check? I have got notices that people thought they were subscribed and they were no longer subscribed. Thank you so much. It really does help us to grow. Thank you. And we are back. Now then, I have measured and I have about 7 inches. So we're going to do the other end. Again, just as we started, on this end, we're going to put on 4 of those crystal silver lined seed beads. I'm going to pull it with my trusty pliers because my fingers are getting tired. And then again, we're going to put 4 on the side, just like that, if it doesn't jump off. And again, I'm going to pull it with my pliers. Oh, didn't have to. And so now I have 4 on each side. Now at this point, I am going to put on another crimp because I have 2 going through this. I'm going to use one of these little number 1 crimps. I'm going to pull it all the way down, make sure they are even and that I got it on both sides. Now when you're working with this, if your beading cord or your beading thread, if it gets longer on one side than the other, that's okay. It just means at some point you pulled it a little tighter on one side than the other. maybe a couple of times. Now I had out a jump ring to put on this, but I think that I am going to go ahead and put the crimp on, and then I am going to do something else to finish this off. I always think I'm just going to put the jump ring right on. I never do. I don't know why I always think that's what I'm going to do, because I just don't feel comfortable with it. It's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's that I don't feel comfortable with it. So I got my crimpers. I'm putting the flat side up against the beaded portion. I'm holding very gently that crimp and tightening it up. Then I mash the handles down. Then I'm going to go at a half turn and I'm going to mash it again so that it makes that little ball. Now, if you are not careful, if you do not keep your cording straight and you get it all run over to one side or the other, it will not hold. Just saying, it will not hold. I know that from experience. I had people tell me that it wouldn't hold, and I would get in a hurry and it wouldn't hold. The good news is when it doesn't hold, you can usually just slip it off and try again. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I have picked up one of these, I went to a number 2 crimp. I had been using the number 1s, and now I'm going to a number 2 because I'm going to be putting 4 of these cords through there. So I am also going to use a wire guard. Now, if you've never used a wire guard, they're easy to use. It's this wonderful little U-shaped or N-shaped piece, and it has tubes on either side. I'm putting one needle up through the tube, around the top, and then I'm going to put it back down through the tube on the other side, just like that. There you go. And I'm going to use my pliers to pull it down because it's getting a little tight. Everything is getting a little tight at the moment, but it's okay. Just don't yank on it looks like I'm yanking because it's sped up a little bit, but just be gentle with it and it'll be fine. Okay, now then I'm making sure that it tried to twist on me, so I'm making sure I am going back through the correct side. I had to turn it back around. Then I'm going back up through the side, and I am pulling with my chain nose pliers because now it has 2 cords going through that, plus the needle. I'm pulling back down, and now I have a needle coming out each end of this wire guard, and then I'm very carefully pulling it down some, and then I am going to take one needle that's coming out the left side of the wire guard. I'm going to put it through the left side of the crimp and through those first few 11-ohs, and I'm going to do the same thing on both sides. Now, once I get that done, I'm going to pull this down fairly tight, not too tight because you want it to be able to move. And then, Kathryn, I hope you get your hands back where they need to be. I don't think you're going to. Okay, well, maybe. I'm putting it in that back. I crimped it down, holding the flat part up against the wire guard this time, so I don't mash that wire guard. So now I've done my crimp. I'm going to put this needle back through here, and it's getting pretty curly-cued here because I have been using it through the whole bracelet, but that's okay. Sometimes I have to cut it off, and that's probably what I'm going to do. Yep, I cut it off. I've got it back through the needle, and I'm pulling it through just like that. Come on, babies. I'm pulling it through those 11-ohs. Then I'm going to go through that first crossover bead. So I have pulled it through the 11-ohs, the 4. I've pulled it through the bicone. I've pulled it through the crossover bicone at the bottom. I'm tightening it up, and then I'm going to make a little loop knot, and then I will be ready to cut it. Be very careful with your flush cutters. Always put the flat side to your work so you don't cut anything extra. Now on the other side, going through the 11 O's that are coming off the side where that needle and cord are coming off, I am pulling it through the 11 O's. Then I'm going to pull it down again through the bicone that is right there. And then I'm going to bring it across the bicone just like I did. So there's a lot of cording going through these first little bicones. But once I do that, I will make a loop again, and this is just a loop, and then bring your needle through the loop like you were sewing. So you bring it around like that from the back, you bring the needle through the front of the loop, and you pull down. Then I'm going through these little 3 11 O's just like that. Let's see if I can get them through there. And then for this one, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to go through that crossover in the blue, and I'm going to tie another little knot. And this ties everything off, and I don't have to worry about it coming loose. So we're going to go right through there again. Come on. There you go. Go through the front. So it's around the back, through the front, tie it down. We've done those knots before in quite a few things. And once that's done, I will bring it back up through those 3 11 O's on the opposite side. And I'm going to go ahead and make a little knot. And then I will clip this, and this piece will be finished. I'm sorry my hands are so far up. What happens is, because these bracelets are so long, I am moving my mat up and down, trying to keep it in frame. And then whenever we get to the very bottom of the picture, then I have forgotten to move my mat back down, because if you notice right now, you can see my ruler at the bottom, and usually you can't. So that's what's happened here. I have moved it and then forgot to move it back down. And now both sides have been cut, and this piece is ready for its extender chain. Now this extender chain is really wonderful because it opens up just like a jump ring would. And so I just put the extender chain right on the wire guard, and I don't have to use a jump ring. That's why I said I started to use a jump ring, and then I decided I would use the wire guard and an extender chain. Now this bracelet right here is finished, or it could be finished, but I always like to do something at the end of the extender chain. And don't worry if your bracelet, when you first make it, has a, you know how it looks a little zigzaggy? That is because the cording that you use is on a spool, and it causes it to be round, and the beads are fighting, wanting it to go their direction, and it's been sitting on that spool probably for months. And he says, no, I don't want to do that. But the beauty of this cord is that it will relax with wear and will form to the round circle you want. So now then, for that charm I put on, I want to show you again. I put on a blue bicone. I put on an 11/0 seed bead. There you go. And then a green bicone and another level 11/0 seed bead. I have put this on the silver plated eye pin. I'm making sure that nothing is sticking out. And I am doing a rolled loop for this. When I'm using these real thin little eye pins. I love them. They're delicate. They're beautiful. But you really want to either wrap a loop or you want to do a turn down loop. And the turn down loop needs at least 2 complete circles. 3 is better. And that will keep it from opening up and you losing it off of your necklace or your bracelet. Here again, I'm showing you this extender chain just opens up like it was a jump ring. You put on your charm, you close it back up. Make sure you touch it with your finger and that it really is closed. And now, truly, this bracelet is finished. Isn't that amazing? And here it is on our heart form. Isn't that pretty? It is just lovely. And this is what it will look like on the wrist. And like I said, once you've worn it a while, this illusion cording will relax and it will straighten out and you won't get that zigzag look. It really only looks zigzaggy whenever you have it laid out trying to show it. So now then I'm going to close up on the extender chain. Going to play with it a little bit. Yes, I know it's still zigzaggy. And this is what it looks like. Isn't that beautiful? I just love this. Thank you so much for joining me today on this beading adventure. I'm sorry I couldn't get it out on Friday. It was just too much. But I have it out today. And I have had so much fun doing this bead weaving project. I hope you have learned something. I hope you've had fun. I hope you've laughed with me. You may bring joy to my heart. I hope I bring joy to yours. God bless. I'll see you later in the week. Kathryn, Handmade by Circle Art Designs. Oh, and this piece is up in the shop at circleartdesigns.net. God bless y'all. Have a great one.